if you're given the green light to be a cultural conduit in this neoliberal paradigm, and you get to interface with the sections of the mainstream media, or you're given exposure via established media channels and whatnot, then the first thing that you have to sort of let them know is that you're of no threat, that you're not going to threaten, you're not going to say or do anything that's going to jeopardise or compromise their position. And the position of the British establishment, the UK media, the mainstream media, if you want to call it that, is a pro-Zionist, or essentially assimilate to a Zionist genocide. So if you're going to rock the boat there, then you're not going to get a piece of the pie. So either you should say as little as possible on the subject, or better still, say nothing at all. And just tell us about the wee thing that you do that's interesting. Tell us about your marrows that you've grown. Tell us about your really interesting marrows and how big your marrows are, or something that you've managed to grow. That's what we'll spend time talking about, right? Or tell us about your new story that you've got out. Tell us about your new interesting story that you've made up, that you wrote about, and that we should all be interested in. But the same people, a lot of these people who occupy what might be considered positions of cultural commentary or otherwise, they've never been not quick to take the opportunity to tell us what they think about all other aspects of society and culture and politics in the past. They're quick to talk about aspects of government or local government or government policy, or whether that's social policy and all of these matters, but they're incredibly quiet when it comes to this. In fact, they're essentially silent. The metaphor would be just tumbleweed. A few wee retweets here and stuff, to show that the sort of tacit sort of acknowledgement that they disapprove of what Israel's doing, But they've not managed to muster any sort of like significant critique. We've all seen it. We've all seen these sort of grand cultural figureheads retreat into just silence on this particular issue, which is essentially the most serious issue of our modern existence. We're watching the complete and utter eradication, the massacre, the genocide, the extermination, the Holocaust of human beings. We're watching children being massacred, obliterated, incinerated. We're watching people being incinerated. Watching a young student the other day there, his whole life ahead of him, a decent person, a decent young man, just incinerated in his tent, displaced and incinerated. And all of these people, I think we've seen the figures. The figures are only going to get worse and worse. And this is this notion where this idea that that we could misinterpret what's occurring, or that it's not as bad as you might think it is. It's worse than you can possibly imagine. What we are actually seeing, and what we are actually sharing, these images that we are actually seeing, this is just a sliver of what is actually occurring.